The NHL will drop the puck on the second season this weekend as four Canadian teams will try to be the one that ends the Stanley Cup drought north of the border. Hey everyone, welcome into the playoff preview edition of Off the Post. Rob Wong, joined alongside by Toronto Sun Sports columnist Steve Simmons, Canucks reporter for the Vancouver Sun and the Province Patrick Johnston, and Postmedia hockey columnist Bruce Garrioch. And guys, it feels like just yesterday we were previewing the start of the regular season, but here we are getting ready for the start of the first round of the Stanley Cup Playoffs, arguably the most exciting round of hockey. We will focus on the series involving the Canadian teams, Vancouver, Winnipeg, Edmonton, and Toronto. And let's begin in Winnipeg, where the Jets have home ice advantage against the Colorado Avalanche, who were swept by the Jets 3-0 in the season series. This despite the Avs having this year's Hart Trophy winner, potentially, in Nathan MacKinnon. Bruce, the Jets are on a roll right now, playing very well heading into the playoffs. Do they have what it takes to slow down MacKinnon and the Avs?
I think they do, guys. And I look at this series and I say, okay, what happened during the regular season doesn't really matter. But I think what says a lot to me is the way that the Avalanche have kind of struggled down the stretch here. And they haven't gotten very good goaltending. They haven't played very well. And having seen some early playoff exits here in Ottawa, guys, if you struggle down the stretch, you can't just flip a switch. To me, you've got to be playing well going in. I look at that series and I say, yes, absolutely. The Winnipeg Jets, I look at them as the favorite going into this one.
Patrick, of course, we know how good Nathan MacKinnon can be. He's got some good running mates as well in Cale Makar and Mikko Rantanen. But since they are so top-heavy, is that going to be a challenge against the Jets team that has quite a bit of depth?
I mean, we all thought that their work at the deadline was impressive, adding what they did and creating the depth. So I don't know if depth's necessarily the story there, but I do take Bruce's point very well that this is a team that has struggled. You look at the big losses they've had, 4 of their last 5 games, 6-2 to the Oilers, 7-4 to the Stars. 7-0 to the Jets last weekend, and of course on Sunday losing 4-3 to Vegas. To me, that last one, Vegas has been stumbling their way through to the end of the season, and so to lose like that, I mean, obviously losing to the big rivals is tough, but to lose like that to a team that Vegas, it's just not looked all sorted out down the stretch. To me, it is a big question mark. I'm surprised to see the Avalanche are here, and Winnipeg's defense has been so strong this year. The Canucks have obviously played well against them, but the goaltending from Connor Hellebuck, that's a team that plays from the goal out. I think picking Winnipeg in this series is a safe call. I think it's a smart call, and I'm totally with Bruce's choice on that.
The team with the best center tends to win a lot of playoff series. The team with the best defenseman tends to win a lot of playoff series. The Colorado team has the best center in Nathan MacKinnon, has the best defenseman in Cale Makar. Can their goalie hold up? Can Georgiev hold up, or whomever else plays for them? Because if they don't get any kind of goaltending, then they don't have a chance. But if they just get average goaltending, I think the Avalanche can win the series and continue on because the top of that team, and I'm going to include Jared Bednar in that top, the coach, the top of that team is so strong, stronger really than almost any other team in the NHL, that I give them a chance in every series they're going to play.
Patrick, you've watched this Canucks team all season long. It's been an incredible turnaround from a year ago. They'll face a Predators team that at one point looked like an absolute world beater, but they have just 4 wins in their last 10 games. How do you see this one playing out?
I mean, I think the Canucks they haven't seen Nashville in a while, and every game they played Nashville, they handled it pretty easily. To me, Nashville's back to where they should be. They've stumbled down the stretch. And to take off Steve's point, who's got the best centers? It's the Canucks. Who's got the best defenseman? Obviously, it's Quinn Hughes. There's just a disparity in overall talent between the two teams. UC Saros has not had a strong year in goal. Thatcher Demko obviously just coming back, but looked very strong on Tuesday night against an understrength Flames team. Fair enough. But he's looking fresh. He's looking ready for his return. I don't think this will be an especially long series. I'm hesitant to say 5 games, but I think the Canucks are going to win this one, and I don't think they're going to break much of the sweat.
Steve, do you feel like the Predators have a shot in this series?
Absolutely, they have a shot. This is a team that understands what it needs to do to succeed. If you go back to January 15, from January 15 to now, guess who has the identical record? The Vancouver Canucks and the Nashville Predators. Who scored more goals in that time? The Nashville Predators. You say, obviously Quinn Hughes is going to win the Norris Trophy, but second on my ballot this year, a guy named Roman Josi. He can play a little bit, that guy. If you watch that first line Nashville has, if they stick with O'Reilly and Forsberg and Nyquist, that was one of the NHL's absolute best lines this season. I'm not saying that they can win this series, but I think they're going to push and push hard because this is a group of players, veterans, that know how to play, very well coached by Andrew Burnett.
You know, it's interesting, guys, because you look at this series, and as Patrick said, you know, the Nashville Predators were not, they were struggling big time early in the year, and they were one of the hottest teams in the National Hockey League after they canceled their trip to the Sphere. And, you know, but Andrew Burnett got fired in Florida because he couldn't get the Panthers past the first round. I think it will be interesting. To me, the Canucks, how will the Canucks look at their year? And Patrick, you know this way better than me. If they go out in the first round, they've been one of the surprise teams.
Yeah.
They've been a team that everybody goes, wow, they're in the National Hockey League playoffs. What the Vancouver Canucks have to guard against going into this series, and this is why I think they could lose to the Nashville Predators, and I think the Predators could win this series, is the Canucks go, oh, we got here. Yeah. This is great. We're in the playoffs. And all of a sudden, they lose, and they're down 2-0, and then panic sets in. And that's where I think the Predators could take advantage of the
panic
Canucks.
and Broadway just is a bad combination, but I want to point that.
Yeah. On Bruce's point, I mean, absolutely, this is where Rick Tocchet comes into it. And I think certainly the mental sort of game here is a huge factor in the Canucks' side, because Bruce, you're totally right. Like, this is a group of players that have believed they're a playoff team. I was talking to Ian Cole about this the other day, and he said, you know, guys, he told them at the beginning of the years, you know, you guys think you're good? And they're like, yeah. He said, well, then let's make the playoffs, because good teams make the playoffs. Now it's about taking that to can you do the next thing? Can you push beyond? Can you really stay focused on the task, which is winning game after game after game, and not just sort of saying, okay, we've achieved something now, we've made it. They've been very consistent this season. You break it down by 20 game segments, and it's the variation between segments is like 2 points. So, you know, as much as they've changed the way they played and are not scoring like they were at the beginning of the season, they're also defending far better than they ever did. And to me, that's the story here, is how well the two teams defend the slot and defend the middle of the ice.
All right, shifting to Boston, where the Bruins and Leafs will square off in the first round for the third time in the Matthews, Marner, Nylander era. Steve, the Leafs have lost all 4 games during the regular season to Boston. They, of course, haven't beaten the Bruins in the playoffs for quite some time, as we all know. What do you think their chances are against a well-coached and well-structured Bruins team?
Surprisingly, I think they have a shot. It's not a lot of a shot, but they have a shot. And again, I go back to what's happened the last 3 months. The Boston Bruins and the Maple Leafs have almost identical records. If you look at the 4 games they played against each other this season, 2 of them went to overtime. So take an overtime regular season game and translate that into playoffs, and we're not playing 3-on-3 and we're not doing shootouts where you get real winners. If the Maple Leafs can somehow find a way, and I say somehow, to control David Pastrnak, he represents so much of the Boston offense. I think it's 41% of the offense starts on his stick. If they can somehow find a way to limit him, or at least you can't eliminate him, but you can possibly dial him down a little bit, then where else is the offense coming from? And this is where the Leafs, at least, if they can play defensively, and that is a big if, well enough defensively to keep the scores low, then Matthews or Marner or Nylander or Domi or one of those guys can do something to get them in a game or win a game. I think it's going to be a 7-game series, and I think Boston's going to win, but I think the Leafs have a chance.
Bruce, you've seen a lot of these two teams this season, of course. Which way are you leaning?
Well, I'm a little like Steve. I think to me, Steve, Matthews and Marner either raise their games in the playoffs, or this is it's time to figure out a new mix. And I'm not saying that Matthews is going to be traded. I think it will be time to move on from some of these guys. At some point or another, you've got to get over the hump. And I'm in a city today where people are cleaning out their lockers because they've missed the playoffs for a 7th straight time. A lot of people here feel it's time to change the mix. If the Toronto Maple Leafs go out to the Boston Bruins, which I think they will, I don't see them winning this series. It's going to be time to change the mix, and it's going to cause chaos, I think, in Toronto. And I just don't feel like they have it in them to win this series. I don't think they have the goaltending. I don't think they have the defense. I think they have better forwards. I do. I think the Toronto Maple Leafs forwards. Who's Boston's number one center? You asked me that this week, Steve. It's Charlie Coyle, right? Like, come on. Matthews is a little better than Charlie Coyle. They should have it in them to win it, but I don't think they will.
Patrick, as someone from Vancouver, I imagine this is very painful to have to pick one of the Bruins or the Maple Leafs, but who are you siding with?
I mean, first of all, I mean, the laugh when I saw these two teams were going to be lining up against each other that I think came from the entire city of Vancouver was possibly heard across the country. It's exactly that. I mean, who does better? I mean, the Bruins' goaltending and the overall sort of defensive play has been their story, and in the end, the Leafs have this group of forwards that you've always seen them being able to do a lot, and they can't ever seem to get over that hump. I remain skeptical that they're going to do it, as difficult it is. I mean, we see the Bruins, we saw the Canucks. We saw two different versions of the Canucks against the Bruins earlier this season. We saw two different versions of the Canucks against the Leafs this season. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a 7-gamer. I don't quite know how to pick these two teams, but I think if I have to lean on something, I guess you're leaning on the offense. Scoring goals. As several coaches like to say, it's not easy to score in the NHL, and the Leafs can score goals. I think I'm going with the Leafs. I
want to jump in for one quick second. Matthews needed a goal the other night to get to 70, and he didn't get it. Nylander needed 2 points, I think, to get to 100 in his last 5 games. He didn't get it. Last year or 2 years ago, Mitch Marner was at 99 points to get to 100. He didn't get it. There's a pattern here. When these guys are getting close to important things, last year, Austin Matthews didn't score in the series against the Florida Panthers. Didn't get a goal. Leading goal scorer in the NHL since the day he arrived. Didn't get a goal in 5 games. These guys have not, as Bruce pointed out, have not come up big. And it's not just in playoffs. It's in moments like we've seen in the last week where they didn't hit marks, where they should have hit marks, and important marks.
It's a great point. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about getting it done. And to me, more than anything, this is what this series is. It's the big final test for those guys. And if they can't get it done, then we'll see what happens.
And lastly, the Edmonton Oilers started the season poorly, but since firing head coach Jay Woodcroft and hiring Chris Knobloch, they've been one of the best teams in the NHL. They'll face off against the LA Kings in round number 1. Patrick, you see a lot of these teams. Of course, how do they stack up in this best of 7?
Well, I think for the sake of hockey, you need the Oilers to win this one. Because the LA Kings are happy. The LA Kings would be happy to play anyone who would also stand behind the net. I mean, the 1-3-1 has been the key to success for these guys. They've played it very well. They get up a goal. They're not giving up that lead. That said, the Edmonton Oilers, the way they have been playing since coming back from the dead. I mean, the beginning of this season was absolutely astounding. Obviously started badly in Vancouver and just kind of went down from there. It is absolutely remarkable the way they've played, the way they've pulled it all back together. Obviously, Connor McDavid, a huge part of that story, but overall, a nice deep set of forwards up front. Obviously adding Corey Perry has made a difference. The defense, they've reshuffled the way they're doing the defense, leaning on Darnell Nurse a little bit less, a little more Cody Ceci, which I'm sure Bruce and Steve will find him hilarious given where he's been before. It's really working well. I mean, the way the Canucks and the Oilers have, they chased each other all season was in the end not a surprise. The Canucks very consistent. The Oilers just red hot. I think the Oilers in the end they've got the firepower. but that defensive play of LA is one of those ones where you sit there and you think this series is going to be close. It's going to be a long one. I think I'm picking the Kings in this one just for the sake of that defense alone, even though Connor McDavid is proven to be one of the great playoff performers of our time.
And Steve, the Kings do play that playoff style that Patrick mentions with the defense. Do they have enough, in your opinion, to get out of round
You ever
one?
got bitten by a mosquito in the summer, or even have it buzzing around your ear, and you're really annoyed by that mosquito, and you're scratching your arm, and you can't stand the fact that you have these little red marks all over you? That's the LA Kings. They are pests. They bother you. Having said that, the Oilers have taken care of them twice. Now, this is a better Kings team, and they're playing far more trapping of a game than they were playing with Todd McClellan. And all that said, I don't see how this is a long series. I think Edmonton has too much talent up front. McDavid and Draisaitl have been real great playoff players, even when the Oilers haven't been great. And I think there's an old boxing term when a fight is one-sided. Like, stop this senseless slaughter. I think that's what I'm going to think about Game 4 when the Oilers are up 3-0, and let's put this series to rest.
Yeah, I think this could be fairly quick, Rob. I really do. I think that it comes back to me where the LA Kings, they fired the coach, they brought in Jim Hiller, and DJ Smith went behind the bench with him, and they've tightened it up. They've made the playoffs, but I do believe that they are a team that's happy to be there. And I think if there's any possibility of a sweep in the first round, I think it's
one more thing about the Kings, their goaltending is not very good. I think, they play that 1-3-1, right, which helps the goalies. But, if you need a save late in a game, I don't know who I'm going to trust to make it.
All right, should be an amazing first round, guys. It all gets started on Saturday. As always, leave your thoughts in the comments section below. For Steve Simmons, Patrick Johnston, and Bruce Garrioch, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time on Off the Post.